Alright, so today is the day I test out this thing. Well, I've already tested it out just to show you guys how this thing rides. Like I said, it's not all that fast. It goes about maybe 20, which I'm actually surprised that it actually does about 20 miles an hour on this sprocket setup, and it's still only 36 volts and 800 watt. But for it to actually do 20 miles an hour, that's actually pretty impressive for a 36 volt SLA battery setup. So I'm just gonna try to get this thing set up to where I can actually try to ride, because I don't have a phone mount or anything like that, and it's also about to rain soon, so I'm trying to get this video before we actually have some natural issues out here. As you see, I'm on it now. It rides. Speed limit on this thing. I just did 5 miles an hour down the driveway. Gotta turn around. Almost did 20. That was going uphill, but I'm pretty sure you guys can see that this thing can actually do a pretty decent speed. That's just a quick little ride video showing you guys how quick this thing moves. And we're about to get to breaking this thing down, because this video is also an upgrade video. That is my 48 volt conversion kit right there that I'm going to be swapping into this thing today. My Razor has two 48 volt batteries in it right now that I'm gonna take one of them out. Only reason why I put the two 48 volts in that bike was because I wired them in parallel, which raises the amp hours, so the bike lasted a lot longer with those two batteries together. They're both 48 volt 20 amp hour batteries, so 20 amp hours, another 20 amp hours, that's 40 amp hours total. I could get about 2.5 hours of ride time out of this thing and get over about 35 miles total ride time out of this. And I've tested that myself. I can preach on that. That's riding around, cruising, high speeds, doing stupid stuff, freestyling, wheelies, jumping curbs and all that crazy stuff. I can get about 2 to 2.5 hours out of this thing. Or if I'm just cruising around, just doing straight rides, I can get about 30 to 35 miles out of this bike with two 48 volts, 20 amp hour batteries in there, equivalent to 40 amp hours, because I have them wired in parallel. Now 20 amp hours, I'm not sure how it's going to do, but I hear it's pretty good. And now I'm just going to separate those two batteries. I'm going to keep one 48 amp hour battery on this, and I'm going to put one on this one. So I'm going to have one 48 amp hour, one 48 volt battery on this bike, and I'm going to have one 48 amp hour 48 volt battery. I don't know why I keep saying amp hour. One 48 volt battery on this one. So I'm still technically going to have equivalent 240 amp hours, because whichever I choose to ride, if I choose to ride this motorcycle first, once this dies or it's ready to die, bring this back, set it on charge, and just hop on this, and then I got another, however long it takes for this to die, I got another few miles and another couple hours or whatever to ride on this. So I still get the best of both worlds, just one's on a motorcycle and one's on a dirt bike. So I'll still have 40 amp hours to ride around, just not on one bike anymore. It's split between two. So I feel like that'll be more fun versus me just riding on one bike. I got 2 different ones to choose from now. So now I can finally get rid of these daggone SLA batteries on here. Get them things out of there. And this one, this 148 volt battery, I'm going to do a comparison once I pull the batteries out. How much smaller and condensed this thing is. Like how much smaller it is compared to all 3 of those SLA batteries in there. Those things are just huge compared to this one lithium battery that's in here that has equivalent to 20 amp hours worth of runtime compared to these 18 amp hour SLA batteries. This is just crazy how lithium batteries are just so much more advanced, and I just can't wait to show you guys the comparison. But it's definitely going to be a lot more lighter because that lithium battery, that one by itself, I believe is only like 15-20 pounds, if that. Those 3 SLA batteries together is like 30 to 40 something pounds, all 3 of those together. So don't quote me on that. It may be a little lighter, give or take, maybe 25, 30, but those batteries are definitely a lot more heavier than just that one lithium battery that's in there. Well, it's 2 of them, but equivalent to one of those lithium batteries, that 48 volt that's in there. It's just ridiculous. So I'll catch you guys in a minute once I start tearing this thing down. All right, I'm back again, fellow YouTubers, and this is how far I've gotten. As you see, the motor is in. The cooling drill mod has been done already. It's when you, not sure if you guys know about it, but you basically drill out the holes, the tinier holes that come stock on these electric bike motors. All of them come like it. They're like little tiny pinholes, and those holes aren't big enough for this motor to cool down like it should when it's running. So they call it the drill mod, I believe. And cooling mod, drill mod, whatever you want to call it, but I believe it's called the drill mod. It's literally like maybe 2 sizes bigger than whatever the original size is. I can't even remember what size drill bit it was. Let's see. It was this one that I used. This one is let's see what size this one is. This one is a 11/16 or 11/64, whatever that is. That's a weird size, but you can probably use a size up because this next size up is about the same as that, which is a 3/16. That's more of a normal size right there. So 3/16 or 11/64, you can use either one of those. You could go even a little smaller, a 532. What is that, 532? Yeah, 532. That'll be fine. That's not too small of a size, but I went with the 11/63 or 62, whatever that size was that I just showed you guys, and that's how it came out. And that's exactly what I went with on my Razor as well, and that turned out great as well. So yeah, that's the cool mod, and it's on both sides, of course, both sides. It helps it keep cool. I haven't had any issues with overheating or anything getting hot. It never gets too hot for me not to be able to touch it. I can at least put my hand on the motor with me riding around for 20-30 minutes at full power, and I can at least still touch the motor. Like, it'll be warm, it'll be hot. I'm not gonna say warm, it'll be hot, but it's not too hot to not touch. If your motor's that hot that you can't even touch it, then you're running way too hot. I don't have a temperature gauge or anything like that on this. Neither do I have one on that. And yeah, I know that if I can't touch it with my hand physically while I'm riding, then it's getting way too hot. I need to stop riding. But I've never had that issue. As long as I've did this mod, I haven't had that issue. So even though I'm only running 48 volts, but you never know, anything and everything can break or get hot or, you know, fall apart. So my experience, this is a great mod. Moving forward, as you see, I use the same mounting points as the old one. There's the old one right there, showed in the pictures. This is the terminal that's going to mount the battery and the phases to the motor onto it. Here's the phases of the motor right here. And yeah, this thing fit in there just like the 800 watt motor. It fits snug. It's the same exact thing pretty much, just more power. So we're gonna see how everything goes once I get that battery. I still gotta tear that bike down and get the other battery out of that bike. And then also that'll be another video I'll get on that one. I have to take the parallel wiring. It's just a wire, it's an adapter. Not this per se, but it looks like this, but it's 2 wires split into one. And I just have to unplug that wire and then unstrap it from the frame. You can see the orange strap that holds it to the frame of that bike. And then that battery comes out. Literally, that's it. And it'll come right out. So I just have to take it apart and then strap it into this. And I can already see this isn't going to be a problem doing that in here. That's the only thing that I'm thinking about. I'll figure out a way to strap it down in here, because one strap holding it to this, it's just going to roll around this pole. I'm going to need something flat right here, so I'll figure that out when I get there. But the motor's mounted, the chain's on, it rolls, it's smooth, no clicking, no clacking, no uncomfortable feelings, or no binding. It's rolling smooth. That motor's in there aligned fine. I did all that when I put that motor in there with all the alignment. If you guys watch my old videos, then you would know. But yeah, I have no issues with this right now. So next step is just basically, like I said, getting the battery into this. All right, back again, YouTubers. This is an update. What I've gotten so far, as you see, everything is pretty much bolted together. I mean, for the most part, the mechanics is done. The bike runs. I still have to hook the voltmeter up so I know how much power, how much volts is in it when it's dying, when it's fully charged. I mean, I know the charger lets me know, but it's always nice to know how much voltage your bike has so you don't drain it completely. I know it cuts off once it drains, but I like to keep a meter on mine. It keeps my brain from wondering when my bike's dying. I'd hate to be out in the middle of a ride and it just cuts out on me and I'm 20 miles somewhere, 15 miles out from my house or something. But this is the switch that I have hooked up to the on and off. The same switch that I had before hooked up with the old system. I wired the E-lock switch up to the switch that I had before. This is off. That's on. And no, I do not use the original charger anymore. The battery comes with its own charger. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm gonna have that charger placed, either coming out on the side of the tank next to the switch for the lights, right up in here somewhere, or if I'm just gonna have the charger just come in between the plastics from the top corner where the behind the light is, come up right here, right up in this area, looking at it, sit up in this area, or just have it hanging zip tied right underneath of this fairing, and then that way I could just reach down and grab it and plug it in from here. I'm not too sure just yet, but it's going to be somewhere in reach, of course. But yeah, everything else pretty much just plugged right in. I like this kit. It's pretty much was plug and play. It's a VEVOR. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but it is a VEVOR kit. Everything is pretty much plug and play. Like I said, it is a 2000 watt, as you see right there. It is a 2000 watt, 48 volt, 5400 RPM. This is plug and play. There is no learning needed to be done. There's not even learning wires on this computer. It doesn't have to learn anything. I'm loving this VEVOR kit so far. I haven't even test rode it yet, but like I said, I'm gonna show you guys a quick little that it actually does run. Yeah, it actually does move. Sounds good to me. It actually runs. I'll be able to test ride it once I actually get the lights and everything hooked up. I'm actually in between trying to wire my lights up. little LED lights inside the plastics and stuff underneath the rear tail and all that. It's going to have all the fancy little lights and stuff. I was going to do that with the Razor, but that's an off-road bike, so I'm not really worried about that much. This bike's going to get all the bells and whistles. It's got the headlights, the speedometer, it's going to have the LEDs and everything. Right now, that's what I'm working on. This is all the wiring to the the speedometer. I had a brain fart there. This is the wiring for the speedometer, and then the two headlights on the front of the plastics over there. That's what this is for right here. These are the two right here. This one's for the left side, this one's for the right side, and then this one is for the meter. Actually, this one's for the meter. I mean, this one's for the left side. This one's for the passenger side. That's why I have D for driver, P for passenger, and then this one's for the meter. This one even has meter on it. Yep, this one's for the meter. So all three of these are the wiring for all the electronics up here. And then these, of course, are the leads that go to the switch on the tank. And then these wires, the negative and positive, go to the battery. So that's how I have that set up. With this, I have connectors that'll just slip into the connectors that are already on the battery from the back side. So they just clip in to the back side. Boom, boom, positive, negative. The wires will come in. And these aren't going to run. This isn't going to run off of the switch. This has its own built-in switch. This actually has a remote to go with it. I can actually control it with a remote. I literally just press a button and it turns on, and press a button. A is to turn it on, A is to turn it off. I press that, and then B, C, and D, they're all like changing colors, the strobe, flashing, sequential lights and stuff like that. So this is like a little fancy LED controller kit right here. It even has its own little fuse box right here. So yeah, this isn't going to be ran off of a switch or anything like that. I'm going to mount it on the frame somewhere right here, or on the other side right here. And then pretty much this is the plug for the lights. I already have a plan. Lights on the frame right here, and on the other side, same thing. I'm going to mount one up front right up in here to shine down for the front wheel. And then I'm going to have one long one coming up the back of the tail fairing on the inside of the fairing, going up inside so it'll shine down on the swing arm and the rear wheel. And that'll glow this whole bike up, because these little lights are pretty bright. Can't test it right now because I tested it earlier. It does work, but I can't test it now. That's a lot to be trying to wire that thing up right now. But yeah, that's pretty much the setup right now, and I'm really liking it. It's actually pretty cool. I'm almost done. Once I put the lights on and stuff and put my plastics back on, that's pretty much everything that I need to do. As you see, it runs. I'll be able to test ride this thing and see how it actually rides. And I'm gonna tell you now, this thing is way lighter. Like, this is one hand. I couldn't even do this with those three and that motor, the old kit in there. Those batteries right there, I don't know what it is, but them things are way heavier than just this one lithium pack, man. It's ridiculous how much lighter this thing is compared to those three, and it puts out more power and lasts longer than all three of those batteries put together. It's ridiculous. Granted, I know those are sealed lead acid batteries, and these are lithium batteries, but still, man, the comparison is it's ridiculous. So I can't wait to test ride this thing once I piece all this stuff together, see how it goes. But that's pretty much everything. So I'll be back with another video once everything is pieced back together. Also, my Razor's still in pieces. I have the new controller right here for it. This one's kind of getting dumbed down a little bit from the, I can't even remember. I think that's a 2,000 watt kit. I think this one's for a 2,000 watt. Well, yeah, that's what this one was. But it's getting dumbed down to about 1,800 watts. I couldn't find another 2,000 watt Vivor motor controller. I really like those 2,000 watt Vivor motor controllers, and it just like I said, it plugs and play, man. I didn't have to learn the motor. It didn't have to learn anything. It was literally plug it in and go. So this thing doesn't have any learned wires on it either. Hopefully I could just plug it in and go, and I don't have any issues. We'll see what happens, but everything for this bike is pretty much just taking the old controller out, putting the new one in, and then bolting everything back up together to get this thing back up and running. It's just, instead of 2 batteries, it's only 1. So like I said, but that's a whole nother story. This is the main subject right here. I'll be back once it's pieced all together.